Welcome to the PI Podcast, your destination for everything NFL, discussing the latest news and providing in-depth analysis of every NFL game. And now, here are your hosts, Ian and Tesh. Welcome to the PI Podcast, your destination for everything NFL, discussing the latest news and providing in-depth analysis of every NFL game. And now, here are your hosts, Ian and Tesh.
Oh my god. With everyone except that one. Welcome guys to the PI Podcast. We're on episode 26. Yeah. Crazy. We're almost at 30. Man. We've been doing this 30 times.
Yes, sir.
That's insane. Thank you guys for stopping by. Yeah, so today we're going to talk about...
We don't know what we're going to talk
about the most complete teams in the NFL.
Jaguars.
They're not complete. But the most complete teams as of now that are Super Bowl ready and ready to compete in the Super Bowl and win. So, yeah. I know the top of my list has to be either the Chargers or the Rams.
Chargers are too high.
Chargers are high, but the Rams are really, I think they're really complete. The Rams are built as well.
Rams, Bills, fucking Kentucky up there. Bengals. Y'all sleeping on the Bengals now.
Depends on the linebackers.
Yeah, but look at how good they were last year and they got better. I mean, I do think that they got kind of lucky in a lot of situations last year in some of the games they won. They beat Jacksonville by a last-second field goal. And there's countless other games where they barely beat the Chiefs. Granted, they beat the Chiefs, which was a hell of a team, but still, you know what I mean. They didn't, landslide a lot.
What's up, Creed? Yeah. Don't worry. We'll definitely be talking about the Packers. But I don't know if they're complete. What do you think? They have pieces on defense. They don't have. They have some wide receivers, but they didn't lose their biggest piece on the wide receiver market.
Yeah, that losing Devontae Adams is huge for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I just don't see the Green Bay Packers as the most complete team.
But
top 5.
I love their coach, love their quarterback. They improved on defense.
A little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I think when you really look at it, Green Bay realized that their offense can't do it all, and they were willing to sacrifice a little bit of their offense. Well, I'd say a little bit. Obviously, Devontae was a huge, but you know what I mean. They gave up one or two guys so they could build their defense. I think the Chiefs are another team that did the exact same thing. They realized their offense could not carry them, and they needed to work on their defense. I think they really seen it against the Buffalo Bills. Even though they beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, it was so close. And it really did come down to a coin flip. So if the Bills would have got the ball in overtime, they would have won. And I think the Chiefs realized that.
Yeah, and that's why they're okay with losing Tyrann Mathieu, arguably the soul of their defense. And they did add really good defensive players in the draft that can start. We got to see how they play though, because Chris Jones is a very good player. They do got some pieces there on their defense now. A lot of young players.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna help them. And you always got Patrick Mahomes. I know he did lose Tyreek Hill, which is their speed threat. So that's gonna hurt a little bit. But you still have Travis Kelce. They did get Sky Moore. We'll see how he plays.
Yeah, they got Juju.
Yeah.
He's not a speed guy, but he's a good third down wide receiver. He's going to give you some tough yards. Yeah, so the Chiefs are up there. They got one of the best coaches in football, too. They have a really smart offensive coordinator. Eric Bieniemy. And they're the Chiefs. Andy Reid's always going to make his team better. Always going to get them to the playoffs. Same thing with Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Granted, I think that their team kind of took a step back this offseason. So, I mean, but it's still Bill Belichick.
Yeah. And the thing is that it's kind of crazy what Bill Belichick can do, because he's working with a rookie quarterback in that who played enough to get them to the playoffs. They did get blown out of the playoffs, but against a really, really good team. And it just goes to show. And they lost J.C. Jackson as well. J.C. Jackson was a really good shutdown corner for them. And they just let him go as well.
I think they were smart for not paying him, but it's still going to be a big hit to their defense. I mean, even Kyle Van Noy, that's going to hurt them.
Their linebacker crew is looking. Their whole defense in general is not looking good.
Yeah.
Which is kind of worried.
And they're in a tough division now. The Miami Dolphins just got a heck of a lot better. And the Jets got better.
Yeah. And the Bills just improved.
Yeah, and the Bills improved. So, tough division. Hey, Max Gaming, thank you for sending likes. So yeah, we're gonna see. Obviously, the AFC East I think, is gonna be competitive this year. It's not gonna be one of the best divisions in football. I think that's gonna be the AFC West. You could argue the AFC North.
Yeah,
depends on the Steelers.
Depends on the Steelers, and depends on the Browns. It's still gonna be the Browns are pretty good. It depends how their season looks after if Deshaun Watson is suspended 3-4 weeks and how their record looks.
Yeah. And if the Lions play as good as some of these power rankings are putting them, that NFC North could be pretty good too, other than the Bears. The Bears are going to struggle, I think. They strip their team down. They have a second-year quarterback who I think can be good. I really do think Justin Fields can be one of the top quarterbacks in that draft class. They got rid of Allen Robinson. They got rid of Khalil Mack. They lost guys. Granted, Darnell Mooney, he stepped up in a big way last year. But the Bears have a lot to do.
Yeah, they didn't even, in the first 2 rounds, they didn't even draft O-lineman yet.
They waited until the 3rd and 4th round.
Yeah, this field was getting so hit last season, so much, that it's crazy to even see that what they're doing with that team. Because Justin Fields, he don't have receivers either. He has Darnell. Darnell Mooney's good enough to be a wide receiver. But look at their other receivers. David Moore, Byron Prince. I mean, both okay receivers. And that's going to hurt the Bears in the long run. Especially if Justin Fields doesn't have enough time to throw the ball for a second.
Hopefully Justin Fields can elevate the play of his wide receivers. That's what you hope to see. That's what good quarterbacks do. They elevate the play of their wide receivers. And I think the Bears will have a decent run game this year. Montgomery, he's a pretty good back. Backup. They have some decent backup too, but I can't think of his name. Herbert, yeah. So yeah, I think the Bears have a chance, and they are in an easier division because the Vikings are always just kind of sort of competitive. But obviously Green Bay, we'll see what happens. We're new to TikTok, so
yeah. Let me double check that. But yeah, what do you think about the Chargers in that division?
Well, I do think they have a chance to fight for the lead in the division. But that's a tough division. I keep seeing people say that there's going to be multiple teams fighting for a playoff spot in that division, but that division's so tough. You have to play 6 damn near impossible games. Like, it's going to be hard to win 10 games when you play 6 in the AFC West.
Yeah, I mean, there's no guarantee you're going to win all 6 of them, no matter who a team is.
Yeah.
Because they're so, those teams in the AFC West, they're so well made, they're well built right now. They got to add a lot of pieces to their defense and offense. And I think it's going to be a free-for-all there, and that's what's the most exciting about it. Because they all have quarterbacks, they all have pieces on defense, they all have weapons. So the sky's the limit for them, and if they have to play, each team plays the other team 2 times.
They all have elite quarterbacks, too. Say what you want about Derek Carr, say what you want about Justin Herbert being young still, say what you want about Russell Wilson. They're all elite quarterbacks.
I think Derek Carr is really good. I think he's the last one on the list, but I think he's really good. So he'll be able to carry him.
But even if you have Derek Carr at the bottom of your list, he has the best wide receiver group in that division. Second best if you want to count Mike Williams and Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I get you. Well, they are tall receivers, but Devontae Adams himself is.
Yeah. And then you have Hunter Renfrow, who was a top 15 wide receiver last year.
Yeah.
And then Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, both really good receivers. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. But obviously, when you have the best wide receiver in football paired with another top 15 guy, top 20, if you want to say Hunter Renfrow's not the top 15, I'll give you top 20. But that's going to be a really fun offense to watch with Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see these primetime games. I know they have primetime games against each other too.
Yeah,
and it's going to be so interesting to see how they play against each other and how much the score might go. I mean, we could see 30, 40 point games.
I was gonna say we could see what was the Rams and
the
Chiefs. Yeah, it was 54-51 or something like that.
2018. Oh my God, I remember that game.
Yeah, we could see that again.
Oh, that would be
easily.
Amazing. That was prime time movie too. And I had Hodger on my head.
But the crazy thing is, all those teams have good defenses now.
Yeah. So
maybe not. Maybe
it won't be that. Maybe it'll just be 20-25, something like that.
Yeah. So we'll see. But these elite quarterbacks know how to pick apart a defense.
And then, is it going to create a problem? Who is going to be the last one standing there? Who's going to make a playoff spot? Because there's a good chance that not all of them makes the playoffs.
Yeah. It's going to be hard for... I do think that they have a good chance at least 3 of the teams making the playoffs. I do see that being a very high possibility. But what I was saying earlier, there is a chance that these teams can't win 10 games because they have to play 6 tough games in the division. I know the Broncos have to go to London. Granted, they're playing the Jaguars, but the Jaguars always play decent in London, so they have a chance to win that game.
I think the Broncos will win that game, but
But
for
like I
sure,
said, it's a tough game to travel 10 hours overseas. Just throwing that out there.
Get your health on right now. Okay. Fine. But it's still gonna be hard for each of those teams to win 6 games in their division. It's gonna be interesting. We could even see all the teams. I don't know if that's even possible.
Everybody can.
Everyone could tie 3-3 in their division. That would be very, very interesting because then there'll be a tiebreaker if they all had the same record too. Imagine all of them had the same record in division and the same record overall.
Well, you remember last year when the Raiders and the Chargers played week 18, and if they tie, they both get it.
Yep, but then they called the timeout, which may have caused the Raiders to be like, "Oh no, we're not going here for me as well."
So so guys, this is the very first time we've ever went live on TikTok and YouTube at the same time. So we're on TikTok right now. If you're not following us on TikTok, you should be.
Yeah, we post a lot up there and post a lot of different stuff.
And then if you're on TikTok and not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you should be.
Go to the bio and click the YouTube button. All you have to do. Right?
Yeah. We're giving away a signed mini helmet at 100 subscribers and 100 followers on Twitter. We're getting close. The signed mini helmet is Byron Leftwich. So
Yeah. All you gotta do is tap the button, and then you when we get 100.
I mean, you could also turn noties on. Well, I'll settle for a subscription. Anyway, I want to talk about the Atlanta Falcons for a little bit. I'm trusting. No, just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I want to know, who do you think is going to be the starter at the end of the year?
I think it's gonna end up being Desmond Ritter game at least. Because I think Marcus Mariota, he has that veteran presence. He knows how to play offense. And I just think if he even declines and like messes up and like makes mistakes, I think Arthur Smith is gonna be like, no, you're not gonna. He's gonna put Desmond Ritter.
So realistically, when do you think Desmond Ritter starts?
So if he doesn't win the QB battle, which there's a chance he could win the QB battle and start week 1. But realistically, Marcus Mariota would start, and I think we could see Desmond Ritter at week 7 or 10.
Around the bye?
Yeah.
Most likely after the bye. That would be realistic in my opinion.
Yeah, but with the bye, our bye is week 14.
Ooh. That's a late bye. That's
A lot of things that week 14. There's already 13 games you played. You only play 5 games after that, or 4 basically.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
13-0. Easy possible.
How would you like to
I'm
I'm not the one saying we will be undefeated with 13.
No, it's Desmond Ritter starting. Guys,
I want whatever you say. Whatever is enough.
don't worry, I got you one. Oh my god.
Also, big news for the PI podcast. We are starting a YouTube channel.
In the YouTube channel, we're going to be doing you guys probably seen our previous podcast. We did straight up card openings, NFL trading card openings. We're going to be doing those, but on a different channel. Not live, but live videos on different channels. So if you guys are into that, there's just a wider audience of people for trading cards than the podcast for NFL. So we're going to put those videos on the second channel. So if you guys, we haven't made it yet, so we'll let you guys know when we make it. But we'll also definitely let you know the link. So yeah, we'll be having the pack openings on a different channel. So definitely check it out when we let you guys know what channel.
And then what else do we have? New info wise.
There wasn't too much this week, but I think I saw something where I can remember. I was talking about it a couple days ago. Justin Fields and his receivers. I think we are talking.
He thinks they're good.
Yeah, he thinks they're good enough.
Yeah, Mooney's definitely up there. I can see
Mooney,
Byron Pringle too, having some confidence in him. That'd be nice. Other than that, though, like
I really don't see David Moore maybe being that wide receiver 2 position. I don't know. We'll see how he plays. He's a young player. But Byron Pringle, well, it's always been wide receiver 3 or 4 on that Chiefs offense. I don't know.
We'll see if he can step up without being overshadowed by, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I forget the Chiefs stuff.
Yeah.
Wait.
Chiefs stuff.
Okay. So yeah, that's that AFC West is gonna be a tough. Yeah, the more I think about it too, like I would love to see Justin Herbert's full potential. Like I would love to. Like we obviously did the reaction to the top 10 plays of the Chargers. I don't know if it's out yet, but we just frequently did it. And Justin Herbert gets slinging. He is, and he came back off season bigger, stronger. The dude's gonna be a beast.
It's gonna compensate him.
He's on year 3 of his connection with his 2 wide receivers, and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Both got good paydays. I think they're both making pretty much the exact.
Yeah, and they're based on receiving.
Austin Eckler, I think, is going to be a top 10 fantasy back. Maybe has potential to be top 5, depending on how Saquon, CMC, James Robinson even. He might not be healthy until halfway through the season. But Travis Etienne will step up. So there's a lot of players I'm really excited to watch this year. Travis Etienne's one of them, obviously being a Jaguars fan. But he was cut short. Preseason he got hurt. First round draft pick, drafted right behind Najee Harris. He was a leading back in college. He was the second best running back in that draft. And look at what Najee Harris did. And if Travis Etienne can come anywhere near that potential, they're different styles of runners, but I would love to see Travis Etienne just light it up.
Yeah, and I hope Saquon can be that running back that he was in the first year that everyone loved. Because it just sucks that to see a running back hurt with that much potential to be the best running back that we've seen in a while. That first year, what he was doing was crazy amazing. I would pay to see it. So amazing.
Yeah, really can't. I mean, I'm a Jaguar fan, so I hate the Titans, but I want to see Derrick Henry come back. I want to see him be healthy.
Christian McCaffrey too.
Yeah.
Injured last week.
Yeah, you're a Falcons fan, but so you hate to see guys with that much skill. You hate to see them get injured. Regardless of what you feel for the team.
Yeah, but the good thing is Falcons really, they haven't really they've been pretty good in stopping McCaffrey, which is
Cordell Patterson's another one I'm really excited about. I drafted him in fantasy last year. He kind of carried my team because they use him in just so many situations where he scored touchdowns every game. Yeah, but I think Marcus Mariota is going to rely on him heavy. And I think they're also going to rely on Kyle Pitts heavy. Drake London, I think, is going to get a good workload, but I think it's going to be Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson for a while.
I just want to see Drake London Watson.
I'm
really excited for that. Oh, and the Falcons Twitter, they practice plays, and they did a Marcus Mariota throw to Kyle Pitts on deep ball. And they also did Desmond Ritter throwing one to it was really cool to see.
Jamal Agnew's coming back to the Jaguars. I can't wait to watch him. Kick return specialist, man. Dude, he can fly down the field. Doug Peterson, I can't wait to watch his offense. I mean, look at what he did with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz.
Why? I was thinking, he got fired so early. He just won Super Bowl. He got fired, I think, a year ago.
2 years after. They declined. They declined a lot. Carson Wentz declined. And I think there was I might be wrong on this, but there was rumors that Doug Peterson wanted more power. Like, he was kind of tired of being like Howie's shadow, and Howie making all the roster decisions without Doug Peterson's consent, I guess. And Doug Peterson was having to work with terrible draft picks, basically. I mean, you've seen like Alshon Jefferson.
Sean Jeffrey,
I don't know. I mean, he had Butterfingers.
Alshon Jeffrey?
Yeah.
Are you talking about
Or Nelson Aguilar.
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, he had Butterfingers. I'm like forgetting all, but look at those guys he won a Super Bowl with.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he won Super Bowl with Nick Foles, your backward quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, that's against Tom Brady.
Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, yeah.
That's hard to do. That's not easy at all.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what Doug Peterson can do with someone like Trevor Lawrence. And like I said, I think their wide receiver core is similar talent-wise to what he had in Philadelphia. I think the offensive line's a little worse. I think the running back room's better. I think our defense, after the draft we just had and our offseason, I really think our defense has potential too.
Let's talk about a team that we don't talk about as much, but they can always be viable. They still have their quarterback. They still have their running back is really good. After Weston's at wide receiver, and they also have a decent defense with some pieces there, and they also have really good safety. Talking about the Minnesota Vikings.
I almost said Minnesota. So here's one thing with Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to be really good offensively. I have zero issues with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is solid. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's elite, but he's definitely like a perfect game manager. He's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I would go out and say that.
Yeah, I really think Kirk is gonna. I don't know why he gets so much flack because he only had like 600 last year.
Yeah, and a couple of them were off tip passes.
And it's being overstated. There's so many people over because they didn't make playoffs, but also because of Kirk's name. It's kind of weird.
Defense didn't help. Their defense didn't help them that much.
No.
Now, granted, they also didn't put the foot on the gas when they needed to. They have a coaching change now. They have the old offensive coordinator of the LA Rams, and Kevin O'Connell. He's an offensive guru. That offense is going to be cooking. They've got weapons at wide receiver. They have weapons at running back. They have a phenomenal running back room in Dalvin Cook and Madison. So
I think Kirk Cousins is good enough to lead that offense. He's the weapons too. I mean, it's not like he was Carson Wentz just making tons of mistakes. He wasn't making blinding mistakes. Yeah. He was throwing it very accurately too, and he has everything around him needed to be able to make a playoff game. And that's why it's kind of like the Cardinals, because last 2 years they were supposed to make playoffs and didn't. Cardinals, they didn't make playoffs this year, but they already slumped. It didn't matter. We knew they were going to lose. So it's gonna be interesting to see if the new coaching change, new coaching staff can kind of make that team kind of competitive again.
I think he can. I think Kevin. Look at what he did in Los Angeles. Now, granted, I think Matthew Stafford has a better arm. I'm not trying to really compare Matthew Stafford to Kirk Cousins, but they have some similarities, and I think Kevin O'Connell knows how to get the most out of his quarterback. He did it with Matthew Stafford. He limited Matthew Stafford's mistakes, And that was like the big question mark about Matthew Stafford and some of the mistakes he makes.
Even though he
on the
still
deep
did
throw.
make the mistake.
Yeah, he made some, but they worked around it, you know. And granted, he had a stacked team there. He doesn't have a stacked team in Minnesota. He does have a good team in Minnesota. There's pieces there.
I just really think they can compete in that NFC North now. Because
Especially with Green Bay losing
what they did,
Yeah.
with Darius Smith gone, Devontae Adams gone. I see them being able to compete. That's what I see. And the Lions as well. I think they have Aiden Hutchinson. They have Jameson Williams, who we'll see how he plays after his injury.
They picked up DJ Chark. They have DeAndre Swift.
They still have Amondre.
TJ Hawkinson.
Second year Monroe Brown.
Yeah, he had a breakout year for a rookie, especially where they drafted him at. Like, I mean, nobody expected him to show out like he did.
Yeah.
Especially being pretty much the only target. I mean,
And Jeff Okuda's we're actually going to see him this year after turning the ACL.
yeah. And I like Dan Campbell as a head coach. I really do.
I think he's a hell of a coach, and it's going to bring.
I think he's got something a lot of coaches don't have, and that's heart. There's a lot of coaches that are like really smart, can game plan well, gurus on either the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. But Dan Campbell is just, I mean, you can tell by the way he looks on the sideline that he's like 100% in the game, and he wants to win. I mean, you see it. I mean, after Justin Tucker kicked that 67-yard field goal last year, he cried.
He was defeated.
Yeah.
He was so distressed. Like, it's.
What the hell was that?
It just Dan Campbell. I think he's so emotional that it helps. It's good if a coach is very passionate about the team, and that's what Dan Campbell is. It doesn't matter anything they lost. They had, to be honest, the Lions were in so many close games last year, and against good teams. Like I know the Ravens were injury prone, but this was early in the season before they really lost everybody, and they fought them.
It was against Lamar Jackson,
Yeah, and they played him perfectly. I mean, there's no way you think you lose off a 64
in the final second.
Yeah.
And what was crazy about that, earlier that day, Arizona Cardinals tried to kick a 68-yarder, missed it, and it was brought back for a touchdown.
So there's just so many things, so many teams that can be better. So let's go to the AFC and go over to the Jets. Because I think if that defense plays a little bit better and is able to carry Zach Wilson just a little bit, and if Zach Wilson improves, I think they have a chance to be the third or second.
So here's my thing. I think it's going to be Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, Jets. But like you said, I do think the Jets are going to improve. I think it's going to take a couple games before Zach Wilson's really in a groove. But they improved their defense a lot this offseason. They got Zach Wilson some weapons this offseason. I think if they have a game plan to make Zach Wilson a game manager for the first few games, they have a chance to win. And then let him break out of the shell, take some risks, But I think their game plan should be very young quarterback friendly, which typically helps out defense opposing. But like I said, you got to build up Zach Wilson's confidence. He was hurt last year. With fans, I'm sure, screaming for Mike White to start, because Mike White was a hell of a player while he was starting.
Yeah, he did good that one game.
Yeah, everybody we made the wrong choice, but I think Zach Wilson, if he, spends some time with his wide receivers, the new tight ends he got picked up, that he's got a chance to win a few games next year. I
see Zach Wilson being able to develop. He's got the weapons around him too. It's not like
he's got the talent too.
Yeah, Corey Davis. They drafted Garrett Wilson. They have Braxton Berrios. They also have TJ Luthemont they just signed.
Yeah.
I
think they signed another tight end too. I think it was Conklin maybe.
Jack Conklin. Oh no, that's a pass.
No, Conklin.
Yeah, oh, Pat Croft or something like that? I don't know. Conklin. But yeah, Zach Wilson, I really think these quarterbacks that were last year, I think all of them have potential to be good enough. We've seen it from Trevor Lawrence, we've seen it from Mac Jones, we've seen it a little bit from Trey Lance, and he was going to start this year. We've seen it, we can see what Zach Wilson can do. And we also see it in Justin Fields as well. So all these 5 quarterbacks have talent, and it's crazy because usually quarterbacks, no matter how many gets picked in the first round or gets picked in the draft, usually only 1 or 2 usually are good enough to be able to be franchise quarterbacks. But potentially now, we got 5 franchise quarterbacks in 1 round.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I really think at least most of these guys are going to be able to, if they get that good coaching, that can help them.
Which I think, as of right now, I think they all have good good enough coaches.
I think so. I think they have everything around them, that pieces around them, that what you need to build around it.
Justin Fields is my only question mark. Coach it. I'm not questioning Justin Fields. I'm questioning the coach. Eberfloss, the old defensive coordinator for the Colts. The Colts were a very good defensive team. I think he can be a good coach. It's just I don't know if a defensive coach is what Justin Fields is. I don't think that's going to help him develop.
Yeah, and it's hard sometimes when you have defensive-minded coach, offensive-minded coach. Because in Chicago, they didn't do Justin Fields any favors. We talked about that earlier, but
they released their best players.
Yeah, they
didn't fix the offensive line, which was the big issue last year.
It just kind of makes me upset to see Justin Fields getting hit that much and not being able to do anything about it. Now he's going to be running for his life.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily saying it was a bad idea to move on from Khalil Mack or Allen Robinson, because Allen Robinson, in my opinion, needed to move on.
Yeah, Matt Nagy just screwed up his time in it.
So I think that was a good decision to move on. I'm a Jaguars fan, so I'm going to bring up, obviously, stuff that I've seen. I like moving on from DJ Chark. I think DJ Chark's a good wide receiver. I think he'll do good in Detroit, but he needed a change of scenery. And I think that's going to be something Allen Robinson needs too. I think he needs to change the scenery. I think he's going to go shine in LA, but he wouldn't shine in Chicago. I think he's not, his heart's not there. So that's what Justin Fields needs. So like I said, I'm not complaining that they moved on from Allen Robinson because it was a good move. I'm not complaining they moved on from Khalil Mack because they needed to do it. They needed to free up the cap space, and they need to start rebuilding. And Khalil Mack's getting older. They need to make the decision now while they have Justin Fields on a rookie contract. But I don't like that they didn't replace these players.
Yeah, they definitely should have done something in the draft to at least help Justin Fields. I mean, this is your rookie quarterback you're talking about. I honestly think they should have let him sit and develop the last year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of dumb that they put him in. They had Andy Dalton and Nick Foles around there too.
They started out with them. They didn't start Justin Fields right away. Why throw him in?
Yeah, why throw him in when you have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks, Andy Dalton and Nick Foles? There's no reason. Okay, first of all, there's no reason you should have the rookie quarterback and Andy Dalton and Nick Foles on the same roster. That's just wasting money right there. I mean, there's no need. Get rid of Nick Foles or get rid of Andy Dalton, whichever you want. But at the same time, if you're going to start Andy Dalton, let him start. It doesn't matter if you're losing season. You're trying to develop your rookie. You're not going to have to go to the Super Bowl and put Justin Fields in.
Perfect example, San Francisco. Granted, I don't like that they drafted a quarterback number 3 and then sat him the whole time. But they didn't have to start him. They literally got their guy, and then they were like, you know what? We'll let him play a down or 2 every once in a while. Maybe throw some plays so he can, get some of the jitters out. Throw a 70-yard bomb.
Yeah, that was awesome.
But that's what they should have done with Justin Fields, and it looked like they were going to do that at first. Because Justin Fields was coming in on RPOs. and option plays and stuff. But then they just like, well, all right, Justin Fields, it's your team. Come on.
And they let him get hit so many times.
And then they pulled Justin Fields and let Andy Dalton and Nick Foles start midway through the season again, and then they put Justin Fields back in. Like, you can't do that.
You literally just can't do that. You can't mess up with your rookie's like confidence, his QB, whatever. You can't mess with his agenda, I guess, in a way. I don't know what it's called. But still, Justin Fields got smacked. Like, he literally took the biggest hit in one of his first games, too. Like, and he was on the ground for a good minute. You can't do that to your for your future franchise quarterback.
Yeah, for what reason, too? Like,
for no reason, either. Like, I mean, take the loss. I mean, maybe it's because Matt Nagy felt he was going to get fired. Maybe he put in Justin Fields to try to prevent himself from getting fired. But still, that is messed up if he actually did that.
Yeah. So we talked about the Vikings. We talked about the Bears. Who else do we not normally talk about? Talk about the Jets. Let's talk about the Texans. Where do they go from here? They had a decent draft, but they had a vote. Is Lovie Smith the long-term answer in Houston? I personally don't think so, but, you know, I think it's kind of crazy that they're still talking about Josh McCown being a head coach. I thought that was weird when they brought his name up to begin with.
Yeah, Lovie Smith kind of came out of nowhere. And it was announced that he was the head coach for the Houston Texans. I actually didn't see it coming. I didn't see really anything about Lovie Smith like at the end of the season before anyone got hired. It's kind of weird. And Lovie Smith, he wasn't the greatest when he was coaching for Tampa Bay. He was okay for the first few years. I think he had some winning seasons, but I don't know. He might work well just building that team up. But right now they're trying to develop Davis Mills, and they're trying to build around Davis Mills. And I don't think Davis Mills is the long-term answer. But to give him a chance, I guess you got to give him a chance. That's why they did what they did in the draft. And they got some good players in the draft as well. Did they get a tackle? Right. What did they get?
I know they got Derek Stingley, but
They got Derek Stingley, which is good.
I can't remember who all they got. Actually, I was going off their draft grades that the media said when I said they had a good. I didn't pay that close attention to it.
Yeah. But Texans, I really think he still has Brandon. Davis Mills still has Brandon Cooks. Yeah. He still has the running back that he had. I don't. They got rid of Philip Lindsay, but that Nico Collins, the rookie, was playing defense. They also have the receiver of Brandon Cooks. I don't. Nico Collins, I think, is a receiver, or one or the other. But I think that the Texans are in a kind of rebuilding mode. I really don't see him winning more than 5 games this season. I think they're just gonna have to build themselves up a little bit before they even start being competitive. We'll see. I mean, everything that happened with Deshaun Watson with the Texans, I mean, that's just a big blow for them in general. Because Deshaun Watson was supposed to be their franchise quarterback, and they were down for a year, and then they let him go. Deshaun Watson leave, so they didn't do themselves any favors because they had their franchise quarterback ready, waiting for them, and being able to use all they wanted to run.
Yeah.
And Will Fuller did leave, so that leaves the wide receiver core with Brandon Cook, Nico Collins, Kiki Kuti. And then the running back room, they got rid of Philip Lindsay. Who they have at running back?
Ingram.
No, Ingram's back.
Oh, David Johnson.
Did they? I think so. I think they still have David Johnson. I feel like I'm missing Talking about running back, I want to talk about
Marlon Mack, Rex Burkhead.
Oh, they signed Marlon Mack. I think Marlon Mack could be a good piece for them. I think Marlon Mack was a really good running back before he tore his ACL, and the Colts, didn't get a chance again in Indianapolis because Jonathan Taylor stepped up and became that leading back. Just imagine if the Marlon Mack never tore his ACL, they would have Marlon Mack 1-2 punch. That'd be clear. But yeah, Marlon Mack wanted out anyways, just because Jonathan Taylor was getting all the reps, so he kind of over his role, so they had to get rid of him. But I think Marlon Mack can be good enough to be able to get some good plays.
Who do you think finishes out the season for the New York Giants? Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor?
I think Daniel Jones.
I think they got to ride with it or do or die with him.
I think there's a chance he improves a little bit to be able to play another year.
The good news is the Giants have a lot of leverage with this. If he plays decent, they can offer him a 1 or 2 year deal on a cheap deal. Or if he doesn't work out, they draft their guy next year and they have a top 5 pick again. So, I mean, they're in a win-win situation. And they have Brian DeBall, who I think, look at what he did with Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen had a terrible rookie year, and then he just started blowing up. So hopefully they can do the same with Daniel Jones. I think they have not treated Daniel Jones very good, considering he's had a new head coach or a new offensive coordinator literally every single year. So I would like to see Daniel Jones. I would like to see Saquon help him out. I mean, they haven't had a very good running game either. They've had a lot of drops with Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay so far has not lived up to his big contract that he signed last year. Sorry.
If Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay can step up just a little bit, it'll just help so much because they do have Darius Stoney too, who can be a really good wide receiver for them. Who will be their wide receiver.
They picked up 2 really good first-round draft picks in the draft, Evan Neal, Thibodeau. Arguably got one of the best edge rushers in the... I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, Thibodeau was projected to go number 1. So, and then also Evan Neal was projected to go number 1 for a while. So
they got potentially the best 2 people on it.
You could argue Iggy or Evan Neal for the best tackle. Regardless, they got the top 2 tackle in the draft, and they got a top 3 edge rusher in the draft.
Yeah, they're living pretty right now. Like they have everything in a breadbasket basically. Yeah. Everything at their proposal basically. And I think Daniel Jones. I think I want to see a little bit, but it's kind of like a Marcus Mariota situation. Marcus Mariota couldn't develop, so they had to get rid of him, and this is his Daniel Jones make it break it here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We didn't have too much to talk about today. Somewhere on Tuesday, it's probably gonna be something big that happens that we're gonna talk about.
Something big's gonna happen to you?
I think so.
They got 1 day for that to happen.
I know. So we'll see. But thank you guys for watching the short podcast. Remember, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern. You guys don't want to miss it. We're live on YouTube and on TikTok as well. So thank you guys for joining the stream from YouTube. Everyone who's on TikTok joins TikTok. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome.
Point to all the cameras.
And there. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys on Tuesday night. Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for watching the PI Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next time so you don't miss the latest news in the NFL world. You can also follow us on TikTok at PIPodcast and on Twitter at PIPodcasters. Until next time.